when they made the decision, I can control what I can do, that's what really gave them the power to move on with their own lives. And then now today, kick ass and take names. It's one of those moments when you're forced to realize that you can't control what other people think, say, and do. That sucks. It's really, really probably a hard thing, but you're going to be better for it.
Welcome to the Be It Till You See It podcast, where we talk about taking messy action, knowing that perfect is boring. I'm Lesley Logan, Pilates instructor and fitness business coach. I've trained thousands of people around the world, and the number one thing I see stopping people from achieving anything is self-doubt. My friends, action brings clarity, and it's the antidote to fear. Each week, my guests will bring bold, executable, intrinsic, and targeted steps that you can use to put yourself first and be it till you see it. It's a practice, not a perfect. Let's get started. Welcome back to the Be It Till You See It interview recap, where my co-host in life, Brad, and I are going to dig into the liberating convo I had with Danny J. Johnson and Jill Coleman. I think the J is for Johnson.
J is for Johnson. So you can just call her Danny J.
Danny J.
Yeah, Danny J and Jill Coleman.
And Jill Coleman.
Yeah.
In our last episode, if you haven't yet listened to that interview, go back and listen to it. These women are badasses. They're so fun and they're doing amazing things. And I love watching their stories all the time. So anyways, you can listen to that now, or you can listen to this now and you can listen to that later. It's fine. You can do whatever order you want. If you're listening to it in the OPC app, which is free, by the way, you can actually just see them lined up with each other. It makes it super easy, because I'm just going to say a certain fruit phone does not make it easy to figure out which episode to listen to in which order, because it just automatically downs the next one and you are out of order sometimes.
It's true.
I'm just saying.
It's true. It's happened.
So today is June 27th, 2024, and it's PTSD Awareness Day. About this day, on June 27th, we talk about PTSD, a complex disorder caused by experiencing or witnessing trauma. The trauma necessary to cause PTSD can originate from many events, potentially an accident, combat, a natural disaster, or an assault. But there are other ways PTSD symptoms can arise. A trained professional must diagnose PTSD based on the symptoms like hypervigilance, mood swings, recurring and involuntary flashbacks to the trauma, and avoidance. The National Center for PTSD declared all of June to be PTSD Awareness Month. You can help their campaign by educating yourself and others about the illness and sharing help with those who might need it. Very important. We've been trying to get my dad some help for his PTSD, which he is in denial that he has. And we're like, here are all the
symptoms that we're self-diagnosing you in, but one of them is not sleeping.
Yeah.
And all sorts of different things like that.
So many.
Loud bangs. PTSD is post-traumatic stress disorder.
Yeah.
But this is actually something that has been really...
but it's not just for people who've been in combat. You can have PTSD from a car accident, like they said, or assault, or a natural disaster. You
can certainly have PTSD from those things as well. Any traumatic, experience can create PTSD. The very first movie I ever acted in was about PTSD.
Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah. I was working at a film school, and one of the students who was becoming a director did an entire movie about it, and he cast me in one of the parts.
It's so cool. I had no idea you were ever in a movie.
Yeah.
I know a little first one. So there's others.
So there were. One of my really close friends was in the military, multiple tours in the military. And then obviously, like you said, Lesley's dad. So, lots of family and friends.
So I think it's really important to make sure that they have the help that they want. They might not be able. It's really easy. I find my dad would say he didn't have it as bad as other people. So I think it's really easy for people to compare their own experience to someone else's and make it smaller, it's
belittle their own
experience. So it's not PTSD, because I can't have it because it wasn't as bad as this person, but you can have it.
Yeah.
And I read this amazing book, What Happened to You, which also explains based on how you were raised as an infant, your resiliency levels, and it's possible that you might not have those tools from being so young, that you might have PTSD over on something that someone else sitting right next to you might not have had it on. So so important to not belittle it or shame yourself. Please get help, or help someone in your life who has it. Find out the areas in your communities that can help them.
Yeah.
All right.
Coming up,
we're a little over a month away from leaving for our 6th tour, our summer tour, powered by a balanced body. We're so excited.
That is crazy.
I know. It's crazy. It's our 6th tour. It's our
Yeah.
2nd summer tour. It's our 3rd tour powered by Balanced Body and Contrology, and that allows us to do lots of cities we probably wouldn't be able to do and meet some incredible people. So we're going 13 cities. Let's see. Here we go. Las Vegas, Salt Lake City, Denver, Lincoln, Nebraska, Minneapolis, Minnesota, Milwaukee, Chicago, Cleveland, Ohio, Dayton, Ohio, Indy, Kansas City, St. Louis, Colorado Springs.
That's right.
Wait, I did a great job.
Slayed.
I slayed it. I do wonder if I got the St. Louis and Kansas City in the right order but I just don't actually know.
No, St. Louis, I think,
is first. I don't really know.
That direction.
The middle of the map is confusing. Like Nebraska is more north than I thought. So.
Yeah, St. Louis is east of Kansas City.
Oh, okay. So then that definitely comes before Kansas City.
Yeah.
Go to opc.me/tour to get your tickets because it is selling really fast. And we are not hitting any of these. Well, I shouldn't say any of them. We're not hitting most of them again on the winter tour. And our summer tour will not be these cities. So
actually, none of these will be on the winter tour.
Oh, we're not doing St. Louis either? Are we doing Denver? Maybe.
Man, that's debatable.
That's debatable. Okay, so just know that it's possible we won't hit any of these cities again, including Las Vegas. Who knows?
That's true.
Yeah. So opc.me/tour to get your tickets. Yes, you can come to multiple events. Do not worry about I want to make sure someone else gets it. Come to ones you want to come to. I mean, some of these are only 2 hours apart. So come party with us. Come play with the dogs. There's lots of fun prizes. Elevate applications are probably open right now. And the reason I say probably is because at the time of recording, we have not picked the dates, but they open for 2 weeks. And I want to say it's now because I'm pretty sure the following week is when I'm doing the calls. So let's just say they are open. You want to go to leslielogan.co/elevate. It is my mentorship for Pilates instructors. So if you're not a Pilates instructor, this is gibberish to you. If you are a Pilates instructor, this is a master's program, mentorship program. It allows us to spend 9 months together, really diving deep into the method and ditching the imposter syndrome, ditching the over talking, ditching the hours of prepping, and really helping you connect to your practice, connect to your teaching, and also this method. So leslielogan.co/elevate. I can only take 12 people per group. So just so you know, the next one would be 2026.
Right.
Yeah. So you don't want
this enrollment would be for 2025.
Yeah.
Kicking off in January. So so don't sit on that one. Next up, we got Cambodia.
Yes.
February 2025. We are taking an amazing group of women with us so far. There may be
a few good men.
There may be a few good men coming with us too, but there are room for that.
You can bring your partners.
Actually. Yeah, we actually have a ticket specifically for the experience only for people who are like, Pilates isn't my thing, but I want to go do the trip. Absolutely welcome to join us. Anyway, go to crowsnestretreats.com, crowsnestretreats.com.
If you keep saying, I'm going to the next one, I'm going to go to the next one.
Yeah, don't
you
wait.
Pick this one, as we learned from Kel.
Yeah, that's right.
Tomorrow doesn't exist. Only today does. And so the future trips don't exist yet. Just the ones we've got planned. There it is.
True. That's true. Very, very true.
Very enlightened.
Why would you come to Cambodia with us? I'll tell you, it is an experience of a lifetime. And I don't say that as like a
every one of our
thing.
retreaters has been like, I'm going to come back.
In fact, we've had multiple retreaters join us more than one time.
Yeah.
It is just an incredible, incredible trip. The people are lovely. The environment is incredible. The jungles, the temples. I'm not even kidding you. It is the Jungle Book in real life. We literally get to walk around these incredible temples. We're allowed to walk on them, around them, in them, through them. It's just mind-boggling. We get to eat incredible food. We practice Pilates. We build relationships and friends and fun. We get to go do a lotus farm. We get to go actually on a pond with all these amazing lotus and see the process for all this stuff. There's so many incredible experiences in this trip. It is, I think, of all the things that we do, which we do a lot, this is hands down my absolute favorite thing to do. And when we are retired someday, I will still do this. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's true. It's part of the retirement plan. So crowsnestretreats.com, crowsnestretreats.com to
That's
get
plural. crowsnestretreats.com.
Yeah. All right. And lastly, in case you didn't know, all of this happens because of onlinepilatesclasses.com. And if you are not a member yet, we want to know why, but also we want you to try it out.
Yeah. Come join us.
Yeah. It's opc.me/40. It gives you a 40-day trial for only $1 a day. So 40 days for $40. And why are we doing 40 days? Because the reality is that like it does take time to start something new. And it's not that it takes 40 days to build habit. You can build a habit in 2 days, but also like we want you to experience 2 different monthly themes and multiple weekly classes and potentially join us for a live class and get feedback on your form and meet the community. So we want you to be able to have all the amazing experiences because we know that if you do that, you are an OPC lifer like so many of our members.
Yeah.
So opc.me/40 for the best, most amazing community in the Pilates world. All right, before we get into Danny J and Jill Coleman's episode, do we have a listener question, Mr. Brad?
We sure do. Today, Tamara Gomez wrote in and she said she's hesitant to reach out with this question and really try to figure it out on her own. But for a 30-minute Pilates class, how many cards would you pick out from your mat Pilates flashcard deck? I'm having a hard time designing the class around the amount of time that I choose.
Yeah. So if you haven't yet gotten our mat flashcards, you should get them.
Yeah, go to opc.me/flashcards.
Yeah. So here's the thing. When Joseph Pilates created his mat work, if you did it on your own, it really, even if you're advanced, it takes you under 30 minutes to do all of the cards.
All of them.
All of them.
Yeah, that's 32 exercises in the official.
I had someone reach out to me on YouTube going, can you create a 50-minute beginner workout on the tower, a window chair, a 50-minute on the reformer, and a 50-minute on the mat? And I said, for beginners. And I said, no, it's impossible. There's not even enough beginner exercises on each one. Even if I combine them all together, it wouldn't be 50 minutes. So like, no. Without knowing the level of your class, I'm just going to assume they're all levels. It's an all level class. So you probably will take out any of the overhead exercises, just be safe on the safe side. And so you'd be left with about 27 cards left. That actually could be a 30-minute class right there. And if you just leave them in the order that they're in, it already has a set of action transition for you. So you don't have to do any work. You don't have to like reorder it at all. Now, if you wanted to shuffle them and like treat it like a tarot deck and see what comes next, you totally can. There's nothing wrong with that. Yeah. But I would say about 20 to 27 cards would be a 30-minute class without a problem.
Yeah, and that's if you're not moving quick, which was why I was laughing. Do you remember the year that we were at Momentum Fest and all the teachers were doing the closeout thing? Well, how many minutes did they give you? 5, 10?
They gave
10 minutes. So, and
people were doing huggy and stretchy and kumbaya and like all this and like they were, just all this stuff. And they're like, what are you going to teach? And I was like, well, clearly I'm going to do some Pilates because it hasn't happened yet. So I just did the whole order.
In 10 minutes.
10 minutes.
10 minutes.
I think I did it in less than that because I'm pretty good at it. We did 1 rep of everything in under 10 minutes, the whole thing.
Yeah.
And that's when I coined you can crab sooner than you think. And people loved it. And they all crabbed sooner than they were ready. And also they had done like 14 or 15 events over 2 days. They were like so sore. They're like, oh, but also like they all did it. And I was so proud of them. So
anyway,
Tamara, I hope that helps. Great question. Thanks for getting the cards also. It really means a lot to me. I love that you're using them to class plan. I love this helping you nerd out. And if you have any questions, you guys, about the flashcards, you can certainly ask us, but you can also go to opc.me/flashcards.
Yep.
And you'll see all of the decks. Our 5th deck is in print as we speak.
Yeah, it'll be released this summer.
Yeah.
I guess technically it's summer. It'll be released in August, or I guess it could be in September. We'll see how the printer's going. I'm pushing for August.
He's pushing for August. I'm realistically saying September. I don't like disappointing people. If you have a question you want us to answer, we can answer on anything. It doesn't have to be Pilates, can be all the different things. We've had different guests on. So feel free to send your questions in.
I mean, you could ask about all my amazing hats that I wear.
Yeah, Brad really does change his hats, and he hopes you notice.
But if you only watch it on YouTube, then you'll see it. You can DM us on the gram, or you can text us at 310-905-5534 to ask your questions. Stick around. We'll be right back. Okay, now let's talk about Danny J and Jill Coleman. Danny J and Jill, co-hosts of the Best Life podcast, began their careers as personal trainers and fitness competitors. They bonded over shared experiences of discovering their husbands' infidelities and their evolving views on fitness and nutrition. They aim to help women feel less alone, embrace change, and let go of past identities to become the person they are meant to be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I knew that story.
Yeah, because you.
But
were
I
the one
forgot
who
that story
first. Yeah.
Yeah, I totally forgot that story. And listening to them rehash that, the experience of how they met and how their podcast came to be was a little bit sad, but also a little bit amazing because it brought the two of them together. And, they've been really close friends now for many years because of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so. I think I don't know. Every time we say this, somebody gets mad and goes, I didn't want my dog to die, that nothing's good going to come from that. But really everything does happen for a reason. Something is going to come out of this new journey that they're having. So this sucks that they are both cheated on, but they end up having this new amazing friendship. And now look, they both have amazing dudes that they are with. So it all works out, and they probably would not be where they are had it not happened. I really love that they share their story. And I love that Jill said, you can't control what your spouse, other people in your life are doing, but you can always control what you decide to do and we decide to make of it.
What you decide to do and what
Yes.
you decide to make of it.
So she would that's when Danny J did by moving to LA. And that was really, really hard for her a hard part of her life, hard time in her life. And so, but she was able to take some action. And then I like that they talked about always being focused on moving forward. So taking action, taking ownership, and taking responsibility. So we talked about why they started their podcast, but where they are today. And that's part of they're taking action. They're focused on moving forward. They're taking ownership and responsibility. It's not easy to do. We make mistakes all the time and we kind of get embarrassed, but you have to you can take responsibility for the things that go on in your life and how you can control what you're going to do in that situation.
We've definitely talked about this before, that you can't control what others think and say and do. You can only control your own actions and the way that you think. In this case, it was really challenging for both Danny J and for Jill to empower themselves as their relationships or after their relationships, as they were ending or after their relationships. When they finally realized there's no change, the guys in the relationship were not interested in fixing it. And both Danny J and Jill couldn't. You have no control over them, right? So you can't change what they're going to say and do, even though you felt like you guys had made a decision together to commit to each other, to do all these things. This is actually really challenging for me because this is literally what happened to me too, where I was pushing to fix it. And my ex finally said, I don't want to fix it. I will not fix it. And that was really shocking for me. Because why did we even do this in the first place? And that was really, really hard for me to wrap my head around, and I just from listening to their stories, it made me kind of relive that a little bit in my own story and, relate to them a little bit. And when they made the decision, I can control what I can do. That's what really gave them the power to move on with their own lives. And then now today, kick ass and take names. It's one of those moments when you're forced to realize that you can't control what other people think, say, and do. That sucks. It's really, really probably a hard thing, but you're going to be better for it.
Yeah.
One of the things that Danny J was talking about was that transformation actually comes slowly. Sometimes it comes slowly to the point where you don't even notice it. This was after the separation with her ex. She said the last couple of years have been challenging for her. Her mom passed away. I think some people broke into her house. She
was robbed in Mexico twice.
Oh, it was in Mexico. That's right. Sorry.
Oh no, and I think she was robbed.
I thought there was one in. I thought there was one in Vegas.
But there was twice in 1 week in Mexico.
Yeah. And then she actually did have. She does have PTSD from childhood trauma, and she got stuck in a couple of interesting places to that. So she decided to start really tackling that internally. She did ketamine, and she's done a lot of therapy sessions. And one therapist told Danny something that I thought was interesting for me, because we've all heard of fight or flight, right? Where it's like the two things, like you're either running or you're fighting. Well, there's a third one that nobody ever talks about, and that's freezing.
There's also fawn. There's a fourth.
Fawn?
Fawn. A lot of women will fawn. So fawn.
F-A-W-N?
Yeah. So
I did not know that.
Yeah. So fawning is like, it happened. Megan Fox talks about this when she was abused in a relationship. She was abused, and what she did was like fawn, which is like, it's okay. You're okay. Don't worry. That was my fault. You start to make them feel better, and you kind of like not damsel, but like the way to take control of the situation is to kind of like, it's not to fight back or do
It's to
nothing.
placate.
It's to play. Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is really hilarious. I was actually going to tell a story about my fight, flight, or I experienced the third one, freeze. When I was camping when I was a kid, I was up in the upstate Pennsylvania in the woods, like hardcore in the middle of the woods. I was with the scouts, and the scoutmaster said, "Hey, there are bears here, so don't carry around food. Don't be stupid. If you see a bear, get loud, right?" And my friend decided to play a joke on me. I was adamant that I could walk through the campsite without using a flashlight because I like night vision and being able to see the stars and stuff. And I was coming back down from my tent to the camp, to like the big camp area where all the people are. And he snuck out from behind a tree on all fours, pretending to be an animal. And I found out what I would do now moving forward. I would freeze and do nothing.
Yeah.
Because that's what I did. I was like, like what? And so I just looked up fight, flight, fight, freeze, and fawn. And the examples that they came up with are all about a bear, flight, run away from the bear, fight the bear, freeze, play dead, fawn, keep the bear happy.
Yeah.
And so I didn't know that. That's actually really, really interesting to me. Anyway, Danny J was talking about the freeze response, and she said her therapist was basically said she's frozen, right? She's stuck. She's stuck in this moment, and so she started doing more therapy and ketamine, and she started to have some baby steps, which started to loosen things up in her life and allow some forward momentum to happen. And she said she's really proud of the shift that's begun to happen in her life because it also sounds very healing, ultimately. So I think that's amazing.
Yeah. I just love these ladies. They're just so great.
Yeah, both incredibly powerful and exuberant. They're just so fun to be around. They have great energy.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah. Also, both of them have incredible minds for business, which is super fun because obviously that's what I love to nerd out about. We've worked with both of them as coaches in our business over the years, and it's been exciting to take the things that they're suggesting and have experienced and are doing, and then incorporate them into some of the things that we're doing too. So, yeah. Anyway, stick around. All right. So finally, let's talk about those beit action items. What bold, executable, intrinsic, or targeted action items can we take away from your convo with Danny J and Jill Coleman? Jill was talking about her coaching experience, and she starts talking about this as if principle.
Mm-hmm. Right? By the way, I had not heard of this as if principle until after I named the podcast, Be It Till You See It. And it really is the as if principle.
Yeah. So she has been working with a couple of coaches herself, and one of them, sells millions of dollars a year in sales. And she started to think about this idea of like, what would my coach do in this situation if he was going to make this decision? How would someone who's making millions of dollars in sales make this decision? Right. And so she began to think, I need to make decisions as if I am a millions of dollars business owner, right? Because that's where I want to be, right? Which is be it till you see it, y'all. So she said there's going to be a gap, however, between where you feel comfortable and where you want to be. And she said, you need to ask yourself, what is my action here? If I were already the person that I'm trying to become, what decision would I be making? What's the way that I can sort of step into that new version of myself, even if I'm still scared because I am still me today? She suggested to picture the person that you want to be, or the person that you look up to that already has accomplished the thing that you're trying to accomplish or achieve the thing you're trying to achieve, and then filter your decisions through that lens. So she said also she's been making some decisions that scare her because they're out of her comfort zone. She hasn't made decisions like this before. And she said by committing to actions that scare you, you actually force yourself to follow through because, if you make a decision and you're like putting everything on the line, you have no choice now suddenly, right?
Yeah, it's kind of like when I know she hired more team when we were working with her. And it's like you hired them and you're paying them to do a job. So you got to give them the job to do. So it's full steam ahead, even if it scares you.
And you better make enough money to pay everyone too,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
So yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
What about you?
Okay, I have Danny J's. She said, kill your ego and kill the old version of yourself so you can become the person you're meant to be. And I'm like, this is hard.
Kill that ego.
Danny J, it's the hardest being action item. But she said, because if you're clinging to your old self and how people perceive you, it will hold you back. And people are going to try to pull you back into your old identity or be critical of your evolution. This has happened to me as like I've evolved. People are like, oh, you're not like this anymore. You're not like this anymore. I'm like, yeah, no, I don't have the time. I'm not doing that anymore, you know, so I cannot do that anymore. And it's, you know, and then if you're a people pleaser, that can be really easy to like fall back in line, but you got to kill the ego and kill the old version of yourself. And she said, stop beating yourself up for wanting to change or be different. And I think that's really, really important. It's okay to want to be different. You just got to do the things you could be different. But she said, in order to be different, you have to be different, which seems obvious, but guess what? You might forget that. You can't just do the same morning routine, same work, same clothes, same friends, and then expect the day to be different. That is the definition of insanity. And she said you have to be able to let go of who you are to become the person you want to be. So go kill your ego, everyone. That is your beit action item from Danny J.
I love it.
Well,
I want to know, actually, I want to know how. How do you kill your ego?
I feel like that is the ego is the enemy book.
Yeah.
And he kind of repeats himself 17 times. So I feel like if you listen to the Cliff's Notes version of that, you are totally got it. But yeah, I think that, or it's therapy, lots of it, you know, or maybe it's like, honestly, it might not be giving a fuck about other people think. So it might actually be the art of not giving a fuck. It's instead of the ego as the enemy.
That is both great books.
Well, one or both of those books was in If Books Could Kill. And to be honest, I think you just need one sentence from each book and you've got the whole book. So you don't need to go buy them. You can just like get the Cliff's Notes, I swear. And that is how you're going to kill your ego, I think. But also, I really think it's going to be part of being it till you see it. It's going to kill your ego is going to be going back to Jill's and like, what are the things that you'd be doing if you weren't letting your ego drive you to doing the things?
Yeah, and ego creates fear. Ego creates that lack of confidence, or the other end of the spectrum, ego creates arrogance or, you know, short-sightedness, blindness, those kinds of things. So, you know, ego covers the whole spectrum.
Yeah.
So, yeah. All right. Fair enough. All right.
I'm Lesley Logan.
And I'm Brad Crowell.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode. I hope you got out of it as much as we did. I hope you love Danny J and Joel Coleman as much as we do. They're so fabulous. Go listen to the Best Life podcast and make sure you share this episode with a friend. That's how the podcast grows. So my big ask of you today is to share this with someone you love or someone needs to hear it. Please, 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 pretty please. And until next time, be it till you see it.
Bye for now.
That's all I got for this episode of the Be It Till You See It podcast. One thing that would help both myself and future listeners is for you to rate the show and leave a review. And follow or subscribe for free wherever you listen to your podcast. Also, make sure to introduce yourself over at the Be It Pod on Instagram. I would love to know more about you. Share this episode with whoever you think needs to hear it. Help us and others be it till you see it. Have an awesome day. Be It Till You See It is a production of the Bloom Podcast Network. If you want to leave us a message or a question that we might read on another episode, you can text us at +1 310 905 5534 or send a DM on Instagram at BeItPod.
It's written, filmed, and recorded by your host, Lesley Logan, and me, Brad Crowell.
It is transcribed, produced, and edited by the epic team at Diseño.co.
Our theme music is by Ali at Apex Production Music, and our branding by designer and artist Gianfranco Cioffi.
Special thanks to Melissa Solomon for creating our visuals.
Also to Angelina Herrico for adding all of our content to our website. And finally, to Meredith Root for keeping us all on point and on time.